Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, Confessions family. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that I received. The translation reads like this. Hello, my brother, how are you? Can you please post my own story? I am a man who comes from an area that is called Mazowe. I am a ritualist. I want to confess that I am a ritualist, and I have a python skin that is in my bedroom. This python skin, it gives me money. My brother, these things that I am telling you, my story that I am telling you, anyone who lives around Mazowe at an area that is called Iron Duke will testify that there is a child who was once attacked by a python, but lucky enough, he was saved by gold miners, and people thought that it was just a regular python that was created by God. Well, it was my snake. And from that day, it was killed, and I am suffering because people then went out and started hunting this snake. It was powerless at that time because it had attacked this small boy, so it didn't have the power yet to run away. It was in its natural form. It had not yet transformed and became spirit again. That was when it was attacked and it was killed. When my child was killed, I started suffering. In 2008, what happened was that I was a foreman at that farm, which is in the same area, and I was working for this other particular white man. But Brother Nashi, it was not easy at all, because when you are a foreman, well, you have to fight with a lot of people because they wanted me to be removed from being a foreman. You know, working in the farm, it is very different from working somewhere else, because working on the farm, it is all about control. And if you are a foreman, you have to show the boss that you are able to control all of the farm workers when he is not around, wanting to show the boss that indeed I was able to control everyone on the farm. That was when I went to visit this other Nyau leader. He told me that he was going to assist me, and I told them what was happening to me. They asked me if I wanted some charms. I told them that indeed I wanted these charms, because at that time we were now two foremen, and it was like I was about to lose my own job as the main foreman. So I said, please give me a charm so that when I use this charm against my boss will be able to give me back my post. And I want everyone to listen to me, and I want everyone to be afraid of me. That was when that Nyau dancer gave me a python skin. This man, he was not your regular Nyau dancer, because Nyau dancers, they are forbidden to mention some of their secrets that they hold in their clubs. So this leader, he was able to provide these charms to me. He told me that this python skin that I am going to give you, the first 2 weeks, I want you to eat uncooked chicken. I had to eat uncooked meat for 14 days. And he told me that when you are eating this uncooked meat, all that you do is that you slaughter it, my child. And after you have slaughtered this chicken, then you take a basin, then you place this chicken that you would have slaughtered inside that basin. Then you start eating this chicken live with its feathers. I want you to eat everything. You are forbidden to remove anything from the chicken that you would have eaten, otherwise you will lose your mind. After that, I was supposed to sleep with a woman, and I was supposed to sleep with a woman who was not my wife. I had to fornicate for 2 weeks, and fornicating, it was going to bring me fortification. Then I was going to be strengthened. So I did just like that, my brother. I was returned back to my post as the big foreman, and that other man who was also a foreman, who had tried to take that position from me, he was then fired by the boss, and everyone there, they were just respecting me. Then that was when the program of chasing white people from the farms here in Zim happened. And after my boss had been fired, and after my boss's farm had been taken, that was when my boss returned back to his country. But they told me that they were going to give me this farmhouse, and currently I am staying at this farmhouse that the boss left for me. He also gave me some livestock to start my own life. He also did the same to the people that I was working with. So my brother, as I said, every day I must sacrifice a sheep or a goat. It came the time that I had left with no goat, because all the livestock that the boss had left for me, they were all finished, because I had to keep on sacrificing and sacrificing. When I saw that all the goats that the boss had left for me had been sacrificed, I then started sacrificing the sheep that was left. Then, my brother, I started sacrificing even the donkeys, because that was the only livestock that I had. Last year, I didn't manage to sacrifice anything, Brother Nashi, because I didn't have anything to give me money in the house to buy a goat. So I just ignored it. And I said, well, we will see what is going to happen. And I kept on doing my daily work. So I had been given a warning that if you will ever delay to bring your sacrifice, something bad is going to happen to you. And that Nyaudensa told me that we are not to be messed around with. If you are unable to do this sacrifice, I suggest that you leave our shrine. And he said that if you fail, you are going to go around telling people that you should never mess up around with Nyau people, my brother. But I promised these people that forever, as long as I'll be alive, I was going to be able to sacrifice whatever they wanted from me. And at that time, when I looked at my boss's livestock, as plenty as they were, I never expected that his livestock were going to be taken, and he was only going to give me a few that I sacrificed. So after I had failed, they gave me only 2 weeks. This was like my first warning, and I failed again. Things were really hard. One day, it was in the morning, I woke up and I saw an egg. This egg, it was on the python skin, and I knew that something was really wrong somewhere. So later that day, I went again to check, and I saw that the egg was turning colors to match the python skin. My brother, this is the things that you never share, even with your wife. So I went back to the Nyau leader and I tried to plead with him, but he said that it is now under control. So this egg, it then changed and it hatched and it became a small python. Out of that egg, a small python came. I couldn't see it where it had gone to, but I then saw that this python skin was no longer in the house. One day, my child was coming back from school and he was alone and he was attacked by the python. It tried to swallow him, but luckily enough, he was screaming. Then there was these gold miners which were around in that area. They came and they rescued him. And this snake, before it could transform itself and to be spirit python again, it was then killed by those gold miners. My brother, when I was called, I was shocked because I saw that my python was dead. Yes, I should have been worried about my son, but I was not worried about my son. I was worried about my python, because this python was not supposed to die, because I knew that if it was going to die, things were not going to be okay with me. I took my child to the hospital, and the most surprising part, he was not even affected by the bites of the python. So people, when they saw that the way that my son had recovered, it was sort of like mysterious. They knew that this snake, it was a magic snake. They were worried that who could do such a thing in this village. And I was amongst the people who were actually pretending to worry, especially when we would be at the beer hall where we usually meet up in our village. I would be the one to start this story, and I would say, who is that evil person that has done this thing? Who is that evil person that has brought so much evil in our village, so much that they are now using these pythons to even attempt to kill our own kids? My brother, from the day that this snake was killed, every day I wake up and I see a snake. This snake, usually when I see it, it will be underneath my bed and it will just vanish. I don't know what is going to happen to me next. My life and my children, we are both at risk. And if I want to confess in this village, I am afraid to tell everyone, because everyone will just chase me away from this village, and I do not have anywhere else to go if I confess. At my place, my wife once bought some chickens, and she said that she wanted to start a project whereby she will be keeping those white chickens called broilers. But when we woke up in the morning, all of them, they had disappeared. My wife cried and she cried. And I also cried alongside with her, but I knew that it was not a thief who had stolen her chickens, but it was the python. It is demanding its sacrifice. I am now living in fear because I do not know what is going to happen next. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was forwarded to me by one of our admins.